farther away from the ball, the easier it is to play early in your career. You got a couple of young defensive tackles that you're leaning on now. None of it looks easy on the field, obviously, but is there a part of the game, run versus pass, or understanding one part or the other, that comes a little more naturally to a young defensive tackle, or maybe something that will be easier to pick up for them as they get into the later part of their freshman year?
I think it really kind of depends on the person, and their skill set. So one of the challenges is typically if you're a defensive lineman who's playing as a true freshman, it's probably because you've been bigger, faster, stronger, more athletic than the people you've gone against your whole life. And a lot of times guys can lean on that athleticism even when they get here. The biggest difference, in my opinion, is the physicality, especially when you're talking about the closer to the ball you are. For the first time in most of these guys' lives, they hit someone and the person hits them back as hard or harder. And that's a strange feeling, if you've always, been the aggressor and people have backed down, or you've always been the aggressor and been able to knock people back, and now you get knocked back, or someone comes back at you as aggressively as you've come at them. And they're older, they're stronger, they're more dense, those types of things. So I think that's probably the biggest challenge for a freshman O-line and D-line is the physicality. They can get away with some things at the high school level from a technique perspective because they're just better. They can play high and still not get knocked back in high school. They could not have their hands inside and still be able to defeat a block. But if they're not technically sound, they're going to have a hard time. If they're playing high at this level, they're going to get driven off the ball. So that's probably the biggest challenge. Obviously, the speed and quickness and athleticism also is at another level. But I do think probably the biggest thing is just the physicality aspect of it, and how quickly can you rebound mentally from that. Some guys, they go hard and they end up getting knocked on their rear end. That's a reality check. This is a very humbling sport. It does that to all of us. And some are able to bounce back very quickly from that, and some start to question themselves, which is hard because it's the first time they've ever really questioned themselves in their careers.
James, you guys put Jan Johnson on scholarship at some point recently.